The action-packed Canadian Grand Prix provided Formula One fans with plenty of thrill, excitement, and heart-racing action. Fans were treated to an extra close finish in Montreal on Sunday between race leader Max Verstappen and championship rival Carlos Sainz as their 16-lap sprint went down to the wire, which proved to be the difference between victory and second place. A late safety car set up a final charge to the line between Verstappen and Sainz, both of whom were left fighting alone for their teams following setbacks for their teammates. Max Verstappen claimed his fifth win in the last 6 races at the 2022 Canadian Grand Prix, withstanding a late onslaught from Ferrari's Carlos Sainz, and Mercedes' Lewis Hamilton took his second podium of the season in P3. But was there a way that Sainz could have been beaten Verstappen? The race also provided a thrilling on-track spectacle for fans to enjoy. Verstappen and Sainz proved to be two of the fastest drivers on the circuit as they battled neck and neck for the lead. The battle between Carlos Sainz and Max Verstappen in Canada was one to remember. The two drivers showed off their raw speed on the straights, with Verstappen in particular pulling off some incredible overtakes on Sainz. The race changed its course with 14 laps to go when Yuki Tsunoda crashed into the barriers. Ferrari and Sainz, who were leading the race at that moment, used this to their advantage and pitted. Ultimately, he joined in behind Verstappen for an intense race right to the end. Lap after lap, the Spaniard used DRS to close in on Verstappen, but all in vain. Verstappen had control of the race all the way up to the end. The Dutchman also had some advantage as he retained his position with RB18's impressive traction on the straights and the corners. Ferrari usually has the advantage in terms of traction in the corners, and they're usually a lot more stable. But despite Sainz's best efforts, Verstappen ultimately defended him valiantly. Speaking on Sainz's failed attempt to overtake the reigning champion, former F1 champion Jacques Villeneuve revealed what Sainz could have done differently. He said, "Not much, very little he could do. Probably he could do is dive bomb into the hairpin because he's staying behind Max into the hairpin. Not being able to go around the corner means he would never be close enough." A late safety car had given Ferrari's Carlos Sainz a fast chance, but despite the Spanish driver's best efforts, he was never close enough to make a move on the Red Bull driver in an effort to try and claim his first career victory. However, while Verstappen has dominated his rivals in the last few races, Sainz hasn't been as lucky. The Spaniard hasn't won a race yet this season, but he has shown that he's a championship contender when he's able to show his speed. Previously, his errors have been costly for both the team and his title aspiration. However, he will look to build on this result. After the Grand Prix, he revealed his satisfaction and is optimistic about his potential to win races as the season progresses. He stated, "Yeah, I'm particularly happy with the race pace, with the way we managed to put pressure on Max during the whole race. And the timing of the pit stops I think was right." He further added, "Honestly, we tried everything, and we were very, very close to winning today. So I'll take the positives and keep trying in the next one." Ferrari driver Carlos Sainz has also lamented the fact that he failed to win the Canadian Grand Prix despite having the fastest car on the track during the weekend. The Spaniard is slowly closing in on 2 unwanted records in F1. The first one is that most race starts without a win, and the other one is that most podiums without securing a win. Sainz was agonizingly close to securing his first P1 at the circuit Gilles Villeneuve as he pushed Max Verstappen to the checkered flag. Speaking of DACN F1, he said that it doesn't hurt that he didn't win the race despite being the fastest man on the track. He also said that he wasn't satisfied with the result. The fact that victory does not come when you're the fastest perhaps hurts the more. "I'm not satisfied. It's been too close to be satisfied, especially with the pace I've had throughout the race, which has been very good." Sainz was leading the race when Yuki Tsunoda crashed his AlphaTauri, causing the safety car to come out with 20 laps to go. Ferrari decided to pit the Spaniard as he had only stopped once. This meant that he had to give up his race position to Verstappen. The Ferrari driver suggested that the safety car may have cost him the race at the end of the day. Sainz said, "The strategy has been crucial, and I think that without the last safety car, it would have been difficult for him to pass me. I would have stayed out until the end, and I wasn't getting caught very fast either, and I thought I could do it." He further added, "Then the safety car came out and I had to stop. There I hesitated between the soft and the hard if it could happen with one of the two wheels. We went very fast, also putting a lot of pressure on Max, but not enough to pass the Red Bull." Ferrari was set to run a one-stop strategy that even Verstappen himself wasn't sure could have opted for an alternative tire strategy in the final pit stop. After winning the race, Verstappen said, "The safety car didn't help. It was really exciting at the end. I was giving it everything I had. Of course, Carlos was doing the same. Following is tricky around here, but I could see he was pushing, charging and pushing. But of course, naturally, when you're on the DRS, it's a bit easier to charge, so yeah, the last few laps were a lot of fun. The Spaniard had possibly one of the best opportunities to win his first ever Formula 1 race as he battled it out with Verstappen in the final few laps. However, once again, Carlos Sainz was unable to overtake the last car. Speaking to Sky Sports after the race, Sainz said, "The weekend I was quicker. This weekend, for the first time in the championship, I was the fastest guy on track both in the medium and on the hard and was catching Max in both occasions." Sainz was enjoying an early lead in the race, but the appearance of the safety car hindered his ability to keep it, and the Dutch driver was quickly able to regain his lead and squander one of Carlos Sainz's closest chances of winning his first ever race. Scuderia Ferrari team principal Mattia Binotto spoke after Sunday's Canadian Grand Prix in an online press conference to select media, which included Motorlat. Binotto commented on the pace of Carlos Sainz and agreed the Spaniard did all he could during the Canadian Grand Prix. However, it was mentioned too that qualifying performance. Mattia Binotto explained, "No, I think Carlos had a strong race. He tried everything. He has good attempts. He was very, very close, and so we can be very happy with getting more confidence." Binotto did not go on to explain where he felt the damage was done. To win such a close fight with Red Bull and Max, you need to be perfect over the entire weekend, and if anything, maybe the quality was not perfect from Carlos. That cost him a bit, maybe because being chased or chasing, certainly it's a different matter. Having previously stated that he was struggling with his F175, helped in part by a third DNF of the season in Baku, Carlos Sainz's Montreal moment will no doubt rejuvenate the racer. Memorable moves from Montreal saw Sainz quickly get in front of Fernando Alonso for P2, and he was also the quickest car on the track. So much so that he claimed the DHL Fastest Lap award and took a point away from Red Bull Racing and Max Verstappen in the process. Such a performance was not a surprise to Mattia Binotto, comments which will again surely fill Sainz with confidence. Binotto concluded, "Honestly, it was not a surprise. If you look at the race sim on Friday, Carlos was very strong already, and we were very close to the Red Bulls. So we knew we could fight. How much closer it would have been after Friday, no idea, but we know that our car is competitive. Carlos is gaining confidence with the car. He's driving faster and faster, and it's good to see that. He was certainly as fast, if not slightly faster, than Max." Retirements for Carlos Sainz in Saudi Arabia, Imola, and Azerbaijan appear to now be forgotten, and this momentum is significant to see with a trip to Silverstone next up. With the form that Sainz is in, coupled with the pace of the Ferrari, the British Grand Prix would certainly be a special venue for a maiden F1 win. If Sainz hopes to stand any chance, he will need to continue to drive faster and faster, and it'll just be another reason why the 2022 F1 season is an unmissable one. So this is it for today's video. What do you guys think about how Carlos Sainz could have won the Canadian GP? Let's know in the comments.